in, everybody. Back after I was not able to get out a show last week, but back for Gameweek 13 EPL. Seems just like yesterday. It was Game Week 1. We were firing it back up. So excited to continue the season going along. I'm going to obviously go through like I have been for the last few shows now, updating lineups now that they have just came out on the sheet, and then updating my plays, talking about some builds, things like that. If you all have any questions, be sure to drop them in the comments section. If you've not tried us out yet, you can see across the bottom, patreon.com/JagerBombs, $10 for one sport, $20 for all sports. We have probably over 10 going on right now. College football, have the show for that at 10:15 today. College basketball each and every day is covered. NFL, obviously, UFC, tons of everything going on. NHL, we've had some big winners in NHL. Tennis will be firing back up here in a bit, along with MLB here in a few months. Just have tons going on right now. NBA each and every day with Kenny and Chris. So be sure to check that out if you've not already. You will see that across the bottom. Also, if you've not tried out Prize Picks, be sure to use the code Jaeger when signing up. 100% match bonus up to $100. You can use the link in the description to do that. Some fun contests over there. And then also Fanshare Sports, if you've not checked them out, they have ownership projections and the lineup builder for PGA and NFL. You get 20% off if you use the code Jaeger off your subscription there. So be sure to check that out for sure. I'm going to hop right in, start updating these lineups and see what we can find here. It's an interesting slate today. I'm going to update the odds as well after lineups. But we got Crystal Palace and Aston Villa up first. Aston Villa was a plus 125 favorite as of last night. I don't know that that's changed a whole lot, but we do have lineups out for Villa. We've got no Danny Ings. That's actually going to be Leon Bailey. Oops, can't spell today. So Leon Bailey, he's 7,500. I do like him a little bit. Ollie Watkins, Jacob Ramsey. Wendia is not in, so this is going to be Ashley Young. He will not probably make my pool today. So I had Wendia marked as a GPP option. That is going to switch to Leon Bailey here at 7,500. And then we got John McGinn, Cash, and Target. I really like Matt Target today. Mings and Konza. All right, so a couple changes there. Again, Target is my favorite play for Villa. Look to jump on some sets in their last match. As you can see, he's a wing back with quite a few crosses on the year, 33 crosses. Corners have just came about recently, so I do like him at 4,700 in that defender pool. Really, that's the only two that I'm targeting for Villa is Leon Bailey and Matt Target. All right, Crystal Palace. We've got no Edwards, so this is going to be Michael Elise. Not really on him. I need to do some more research on him. Looks like he's took a couple corners. Does cross. Obviously not a ton of playing time this year. Not a bunch of starts. So his projection is going to be inflated just a little bit. But he's had some good rates when he has been in there. Benteke, Zaha, Gallagher, and Milivojevic. Ward, Mitchell, Anderson. No Anderson. This is James Tompkins. And that's it. So there's the starters for Palace and Villa. So this is where I'm at with Palace. I do like them a little bit today. We talked last week a little in the chat about this Milojevic Gallagher combination when they're both on, kind of a split in sets. But I think Milojevic is in play for cash games for a value in the midfield at 3,900. Again, like I said in the chat last week, he's very set dependent. Is not a guy that I typically like to target, but we do need some value today. And as you can see, you got the two people. This is the first slate that I've had two people get the dreaded purple highlight, which is cash only. Maybe I'll change that uh, because I think he is in play for GPPs. Not large field, just single entry. And things like that. I would not play him if you're playing the big GPP today. I don't think he's got the upside for like a large field tournament like that. But some of these smaller fields, 100 people, like the $12, $9, $5 single entry, I think you can play Milojevic today. So I am going to change him off of the dreaded purple. I'm going to leave our other guy that we'll get to in a minute. But Benteke, Zaha, and Gallagher, I think, are all GPP options. We saw Gallagher. He has obviously some open play value. He got there last week. I mean, he was a fine play. I think he got 17 DK with the assist last week. Obviously doesn't have the monopoly of set pieces at 9,000. Takes a little bit of the shine away, but I think you can go there. Zaha and Benteke. There's just some better options. We'll get to Liverpool here in just a second. So these are really only pivots for large field GPPs. So let's switch right on into the Liverpool game now. We've got Southampton plus 800 dog to Liverpool, who's minus 360. We do have Che Adams and Adam Armstrong. Redmond is not in. This is going to be Broja. I think he's a loanee. Maybe it's from Chelsea. I'd have to look that up again. But we had played him some in the past. This is just not the spot to do so. Ward Prowse. This is going to be Broad. I'm not saying that right, obviously. So we've got kind of the 5 defender deal here. Walker Peters is not in. This is going to be move him up to the wing spot. Elasu, Bednarik. So this is going to be Lineker. I've never seen him play this year. This has got to be his first start for sure. Obviously, he's not ever started because I don't have his stats filtering through. Does look like he's played though on Sofa this year. Center back. I don't know why I'm spending any time on him, but I'll get that fixed. Really, Southampton. I mean, it's just GPPs. You could throw one of these guys for goal scoring in there. You're not really playing or targeting James Ward-Prowse, who we like to have a floor. They're not going to see enough of the ball, I don't think, to get to where he needs to be today. So I guess you could play Broja or Armstrong or Che Adams. Armstrong and Broja would be my favorites there. The rest is just kind of a cross off. We will get all right. Salah keeps getting more and more expensive. Yeah, it's getting tough to where he's at. So that's what we're to now. We do get the main starters up front for Liverpool, Jota, Mane, and Salah. Salah's price is just very prohibitive. Thiago, Henderson, and Fabinho in the midfield, and then TAA, Robertson. So the same exact starters as was predicted there. Again, I'll get both of these fixed in a second, but Mane is definitely my favorite with a $2,200 price difference from Salah. GPPs, you can definitely play Salah. If you want a little more discount, you can play Jota. But Salah or Mane would definitely be my favorite. He does have a better floor than Jota, and I think for 9,500 you can kind of lock him in and move on in a single entry type build. And then we got the fullbacks, TAA and Robertson. Alexander Arnold is definitely going to be a core piece for me at 9,200, and then Robertson does get a share of set pieces, so you can play him too at 5,500. I see no problem playing both of those guys in a lineup if you want to. Definitely going to want at least 2 Liverpool pieces on the slate, probably 3 when it's all said and done. Now, the 2 are definitely TAA and Mane. In GPPs, you can kind of get a Mane and Jota or a Mane and Salah if you have enough value to do that. But Thiago is interesting at 5,200. We saw him score in the Champions League. So 5,200, I like that. And then I mentioned Robertson would be kind of my third favorite, really, for Liverpool at this point. So again, you're going to want quite a bit of pieces of Liverpool. And let's finish up this last game with the lineups, and then we'll get into talking some builds. Not many changes to my thoughts so far because projected lineups have basically been the same. We get Jimenez and Chan. This is actually Trincao. And then we get the other dreaded purple, João Moutinho, Nori, Sace, Cody, Kilmer. Okay, so the only change there is Trincao. He does have a little bit of a floor. I suppose you could play him. Not one of my favorites, but João Moutinho is cash only. You will not see me with him in a GPP lineup, whether it's single entry or a large field GPP. So 4,300 for Moutinho has most of the set pieces, but he is, like Milivojevic, very set dependent. And he, like Milivojevic, also does not have a monopoly. We see Nori take some away from him. Nori has much more open play value, 6,000 at defender. I really like him. The rest of Wolves is tough on the road at Norwich. They are favored in a fairly decent matchup, obviously, against Norwich, who gives up quite a few goals. They have looked better recently, though, and I'll get to a couple of these pieces for Norwich, make sure that they're in, and they are. Rashika and Billy Gilmore are by far my favorite pieces for Norwich, and I really like them in more of the single entry or cash builds. I think you can play both. McLean, Norman, Gilmore, Aarons, Brandon Williams, Hanley, Gibson, Krul. So again, not many changes at all to starting lineups today in these 3. Billy Gilmore and Rashika should split sets. 6,800 for Rashika, forward eligible. I think you can put him in as a core piece. And then Billy Gilmore, and this is against the Wolves team who does give up quite a few shots and things of that nature. So they kind of set back sometimes and take advances. So Rashika and then Billy Gilmore, 4,700 in the midfield is a solid value play there when he's going to have a share of sets. The rest of Norwich, Pookie and Sargent would be GPP options for goal scorers, and that's kind of where I'm at. So let's start playing with these builds. I will have my rankings up. I might do them while we're on the show here, but I'm going to finish updating the sheet here, get the starters filtered or the non-starters filtered out. Yeah, a defender almost 10K is crazy, Tito. But he is definitely worthy of that price tag, and I'll definitely be putting him in there. So, yeah, it does feel crazy, but with his production, I think you gotta consider it. A couple name matches. Get these guys in there. Again, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat. We're going to go over to DraftKings, play with some builds here in just a second. Oh, this is a lovely one. So just kind of as a background, we have to do name matches to get these stats filtering in for our back end. And a lot of these players on DraftKings, they do not have like the hyphens and things over their names on the import over to the sheet here. But as you can see, like Nathan Aki and quite a few, Miguel Almiron, and obviously this one that my computer is taking forever, Konate for Liverpool, has a hyphen over his name. So we have to match those up to make the stats filter in, and it gets very annoying sometimes. But it is what it is. So Lin Cow there, he's played in 3 games, 1 cross, blah. Center back, no. Let's see here. And my computer is being very annoying right now. Going very slow. There we go. All right. So I'm going to swap over to DraftKings. You can go to see my highlights. I'm going to come back after I do this and do the rankings. Let's see here. Let me share my DraftKings screen. All right. So we've got, doesn't look like, well, let's refresh. Hopefully they've got the starters in here. All right. They do. All right. So where I'm starting, I said Mane and Trent Alexander-Arnold are first 2 in. I like Rashica. He's going to be first guy in at forward, not midfield. Come on. So you're kind of seeing the core come about here. I do like Matt Target at defender. That's kind of where I'm starting. I think we're going to need a Billy Gilmore piece there, and we might even need the value of Milivojevic. So that's kind of like the cash start, I think. Mane, Rashica, Gilmore, Milivojevic, Target, Alexander-Arnold. Then we got to decide what we're doing here. So, and we might be able to go back. I don't know if we're going to need Gilmore and Milivojevic. We just need to see. Because I think we could play like a Andrew Robertson instead of, or at the third, as a third defender in utility, and I think he makes a lot of sense there as our third. Let's see, third Liverpool piece. But there's kind of 4 guys at defender that I really want to play, and it's Target, TAA. 8 Nori and Andy Robertson. So, man, it's a tough spot. Let's play with Robertson in there. That's going to leave us 5,700, and then we could play anybody but Allison, which is unfortunate because we could just kind of pair up TAA and Robertson. I don't really like Jose Sa in a game that I kind of like Norwich. So McCarthy, I guess, is in play for Southampton because he's going to get quite a few save opportunities. I guess the problem is, does he give up like 4? I don't think so. I think this is more of like a 2 to 3-0 or 2 to 3-1 type game in this Liverpool Southampton. So that could be the problem if you do find the salary to pay up for Allison. The problem is Southampton could definitely score here, and I wouldn't be overly surprised. Robertson, let's see, that gives us, so we got Tim Krul. I think he would be my favorite value guy down here at goalie. Let's see here. So if we plug in Tim Krul, we're going to have 1,300 that we can upgrade either Gilmore to 6,000. So there's John McGinn, Tiago, Jordan Henderson. So you could do something like this. Take out Robertson. If you play Tim Krul, you've got the 2 spots. You could do a lot of different things with it. You could play Robertson, and then like a McGinn, where did he go in the midfield? And Tiago would be the options. Or you could then play 8 Nori at 6. And then you've got 5,500 in the midfield, so not much different. And you could get your 3rd Liverpool piece at Tiago. So I do like that quite a bit. If we leave Gilmore and try to upgrade Milivojevic, you got Ashley Young. Let's see, Ruben Neves. Don't really like any of that, to be honest. And there's no guys cheaper in the midfield that I really care that much about. So if you did not like Milivojevic at all, you would probably need to play. Let's see if Robertson gets us any more in the midfield. 5,200. So you could do Tiago there. So you could go kind of 4-man Liverpool. So I like that. So that's kind of where I'm at. This would be my core. Yes, I'm going to put Tim Krul in my core. Sadio Mane, Milat Rashica, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Matt Target, and Tim Krul is the core. Do what you want. Obviously, the next piece in that lineup is going to be either Billy Gilmore or Luka Milivojevic, whichever one you prefer there. You can play both, as I've shown. But if you want to upgrade one of those 2, you get up to Tiago would be my favorite. And then you got to decide what defender you like in the utility the most, whether it's Andy Robertson or Rayon Nori. So let's see if there's any questions. As you can see, that is pretty definite where I'm going today. Really like that build there. So if you have any questions, I'm going to stay on here for about between 5 and 10 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and knock out my rankings while I'm on here. I want you all to see that process here. So I'm going to switch back off of DraftKings. And back to the sheet. All right. So, and I'm going to make sure odds did not have a drastic change. I'm sure they haven't, with no real changes in projected lineups, but for the sake of looking, see if I need to update that. Probably not. Kind of know who the favorites are. So it looks to me, if I can ever get there. All right, so Palace plus 135 now. They were plus 125. Liverpool minus 375, a little deeper, and Wolves plus 115. So no real changes there. So I'm going to hop right on in to the rankings. So my favorite forward, as I mentioned, is Sadio Mane, Salah, and Jota. Well, I'm going to put Rashica. And then Diogo Jota. Are kind of the top 4. I don't think I missed anybody in the tops. No. Leon Bailey would then be the last guy that I'll rank. All right. And then I usually put a format here. You can play these in certain formats. You can play Mane and any, Salah, GPP, any, GPP. And then in the midfield, I know you can play Rashica in the midfield if you wanted, but there's not a lot in the midfield today. So again, I think it's Billy Gilmore, and then it's going to be followed up by Milivojevic. And then I guess you can put Zaha in that midfield spot and Thiago. So I'm going to go. Yeah, there's not a lot in there today. Thiago. Basically no pay up options. I mean, you can play some of those Mane, Salah, or and Jota in the midfield if you really wanted to. I'm not even going to rank João Moutinho. Forget him. Leon Bailey could also go in the midfield. But really, that's kind of the three that I'm targeting. So I'm not going to force anybody in there that I'm not really looking at once I play around with the builds. And we've kind of talked about the defenders at length. These last two are going to be very close. I'm going to go 8 Nori for now. Robertson. So again, these are all honestly, these are all value. And these are any format. Honestly, all these are any. They are very close. Obviously, Target can be value because of his price. Let's see here. And then really, there's only a couple goalies that I'm even going to look at. I think it's you either pay down for Tim Krul. If I can get back to the sheet. Oh, all caps, Tim Krul. Okay. Tim Krul, Allison. There's 2 S's, I think, in there. I suppose you could play one of these other guys, like a Giata, I think would be my third favorite. So if you need the value, you can obviously play the Southampton keeper, McCarthy. I don't think I'm going to be going there today. So we've got as a value, GPP and GPP. The format. All right. And then we got stacks. So sometimes I'll fill this out, sometimes I won't. I think obviously Liverpool is the main stack today. There's no real other teams that you're stacking. I suppose you could stack like a Norwich or consider that a stack if you're playing 2 to 3. I don't really. I think the next place would be Crystal Palace. That's only for GPP. But really the only stack that I'm even thinking about is Liverpool. If you go back, we'll go back to the lineups tab. As you can see, this is what I'm talking about for Crystal Palace. I'm going to take a look at Olise and see. He's a midfield eligible at 60, midfield only at 63. He must have started against Newcastle, played 67 minutes. I don't expect him to go 90. I haven't looked at Palace's bench today, but I definitely don't expect Elise to go 90. So I don't think he's in play. But the rest of these guys for goals, Benteke, Zaha, and Gallagher, pair them up with like a Milivojevic. I think that's kind of where you're looking if you want to stack up Palace. So if there's no other questions, I'm going to hop off here. I'm going to be back on for the college football show in about 45 minutes, so be sure to check that out. I'll also be in the chat for the next 30 until EPL lock. I hope this helped you guys today, and we'll definitely see you next time.